At a certain point, Nick Wright is going to have to change his name to Nick Wrong when it comes to talking about 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. As we all know, this is the brand that Nick Wright has developed, and you see this across any type of media or content creators where they kind of pick someone that they don't like and they continue to kind of spin their narratives to fit that particular narrative. So, with Nick Wright, no difference. And he continues to double down on his basically lack of belief in quarterback Brock Purdy that he's any good. And no better example of that than his take right here on Baker Mayfield and Brock Purdy. I'm going to let you guys listen to it for yourself. And then, as we always do, we are going to react to it on the other side. Take a listen right here.
Now, in this specific game, it's going to be tough because you have Young and Bosa against that Bucs O-line. But, I mean, so the last month, Brew rolled his eyes. We can just show it to you. The last 4 games, you know what I mean? We're 10 games into the season. Last month, Baker's been better with worse supporting cast and, under harder circumstances, all those things. I didn't even put quarterback wins up there because that's not my thing, but they're even on that. And so, listen, here's what I know, Greg Jennings. The Niners would be a more viable Super Bowl contender with Baker Mayfield.
Here we go.
And the Bucs would be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes with Purdy. That I know. Now this week, do I think Baker is going to be able to overcome all the structural disadvantages the Bucs have compared to the Niners? I don't know. If anyone can, it's Baker. But it's going to be a very hard road to hoe. But I know if you switch quarterbacks, one team be better and one team be worse. And it's the Niners be better and the Bucs would be worse.
No.
Who in their right mind would actually say this and actually believe it and say it with their full chest and just literally who gives these people platforms? And I want to give you a piece of perspective here. I liked Baker Mayfield coming out of the draft. I liked Baker Mayfield as a prospect. I've always kept my eye on Baker. At one point, I wanted the San Francisco 49ers to draft Baker when they were 0-9 in 2017. And I'm going out on a limb to let you guys know that because that's not a popular take. That a lot of people don't like Baker Mayfield. They didn't like Baker Mayfield coming out of the draft. And, even though he was able to kind of get Cleveland back on track, which was a terrible franchise, people still don't like Baker. And with all that being said, Baker has been okay as a quarterback. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been, as the former number 1 overall pick, he hasn't been like ideal. But again, this was someone who liked him coming out of the draft and someone who has been keeping his eye on Baker Mayfield throughout his career. And also, you can also put me in the category of someone who is a believer in Brock. So theoretically, I believe in both these quarterbacks or have at one point. And so that's the perspective that I'm coming from, just to let you know when I give this opinion. And so when I hear this take, it's just so what's the word that I want to give? Elementary. It's an elementary take. This is a take for people who want to yell at something, want to get a reaction out of someone. Hey, look at us. Look at me right now. I'm reacting to it. Job accomplished, Nick Wright. But I see other 49er fans reacting to it. And that's why I want to talk about it. It's just because the thought process and the notion that you would take Baker Mayfield and put him in this 49ers offense, and this offense would actually be better. And then if you took Brock Purdy and you put him in the Bucs offense, it would be significantly worse. Like when one of Nick Wright's main arguments is look at all the weapons around Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Look at CMC. Look at Debo. Look at Ayuk. Look at the weapons in Tampa. Look at the weapons around Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans. How many seasons in a row has he eclipsed 1,000 yards? Chris Godwin. These are 2 number 1 type wide receivers on the same team. And don't forget Rachaad White. Rachaad White's a draft crush of mine. So if there's any bigger believer in Rachaad White, you're not going to find one other than me. I know how good Rashad White is, and I know what he brings to the table. He's a very good young ascending running back. He is very good. Now, is he as good as CMC? No, but he has very similar traits. He's a 3-down back. He can run between the tackles. He can catch out of the backfield. He's a complete back, and he's a very good one at that. And K Otton's not bad either, and they have a pretty decent offensive line. So again, I just think this whole just he's building a brand. I get it. I understand. And here we are perpetuating it. So yes, I'm biting on it. Um, but it's just disrespectful. Like it's there. Nick Wright clearly isn't in any. Like, I don't understand how. I understand why he's talking about football. See, I can't even gather my thoughts on this. I understand why he is in a position to talk about football, and at the level he has, I get it, and how he got there. But he's just so wrong. He's just so fundamentally wrong. There's no nuance to the conversation. He's perpetuating a narrative. That's what they do. I get it. But it's laughable. It's laughable to think that the Bucks would be significantly worse with Brock Purdy and the 49ers would be significantly better with Baker Mayfield. It's a joke. It's a joke to all football takes. It's a joke to anyone who actually understands football and tries to break it down the way football should be broken down. It's a joke. Like it's a joke take. Um, and again, this is someone who actually likes Baker Mayfield, who is a believer in Brock Purdy. So it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This dude, every time we get a chance to highlight how wrong he is, hey, he's brought it upon himself. That's fine. That's what we're here to do. And I'm going to let you know. And this is another example of where Nick Wright is very, very wrong. So I want you to keep this in mind when Brock Purdy continues to prove people like Nick Wright wrong. And guess what Nick Wright's going to do the next time Brock Purdy lights it up? Next time, who knows how far Brock Purdy's going to go? But I guarantee you, what is Nick Wright going to do? Wow, I must have been wrong on Brock Purdy. I apologize. This is what people who are hot take artists do. They try to trick you and perceive you to believing that they are rational and understand what they're talking about when they apologize about being wrong about a take. If you have to apologize consistently about your takes, you just have bad takes. That's what it comes down to. That's not a form of an endearment. Like, oh, this guy, he at least apologized for his take. No, every once in a while, yeah, I'm not going to bat 1,000 on a take. No one's going to bat 1,000 on a take. You're going to miss. And when you're wrong on something, you stand on it and you say, yeah, I was wrong about this take. But when you're wrong about every other take, when you're wrong about 80% of your takes and you're constantly having to walk back your take and apologize and say, oh, at least I can identify when I'm wrong, you just don't give good takes. And that's Nick Wright. He doesn't give good takes. Terrible take. Terrible, 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 terrible take. I would ask you, what do you think of this take? But I'm going to go ahead and assume that you guys agree with me and that this is an awful take. But hey, I could be wrong. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.